First lesson is from 1 Samuel 7, 2-4. So it was the ark remained in Kirjath Jearim a long time. It was there 20 years. And all the house of Israel lamented after the Lord. Then Samuel spoke to all the house of Israel, saying, if you return to the Lord with all your hearts, then put away the foreign gods and the Ashtoreths from among you, and prepare your hearts for the Lord, and serve him only. And he will deliver you from the hand of the Philistines. So the children of Israel put away the false gods and served the Lord only. Corinthians 9:24-27. Striving for a crown. Do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but one receives the prize? Run in such a way that you may obtain it. And everyone who competes for the prize is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a perishable crown, but we for an imperishable crown. Therefore I run thus, not with uncertainty. Thus I fight, not as one who beats the air, but I discipline my body and bring it into subjection, lest when I have preached to others, I myself should be disqualified. Third testimony is from James 4:10. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he will lift you up. Amen.
Good morning. Good morning. Today, as you probably know, is Super Bowl Sunday. And so Mom and I started to spin our theories and to put together, we co-created a message based on the difference and the similarities between natural competition on Earth and what that might translate in terms of spirituality and the faith journey. When, I don't know about you, but when I'm watching an athlete who has excelled to the point where they get to a final competition, whether you're into football or not, or whether you're into any sort of sport, whether it's the Olympics. What's your favorite sport to watch in the Olympics if you watch it?
Hockey.
What do you like? What?
Hockey.
Hockey.
Ice skating.
Ice skating.
Yeah.
Basketball. Really? I didn't know that. Ah,
What'd she say?
basketball.
Huh.
That was Charlie's favorite.
Was it? And, well, you're well married to the right spouse, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I love is to see a certain look, no matter what the sport is. You can see it in a hockey player, you can see it in a basketball player, you can see it in a skater, you can see it in a jockey on a horse, you can see it in the Super Bowl in the eyes of those who want that win. There is an intensity, there is a focus,
There's a passion.
there is a light of passion, a love for the game, and there is just the desire, 100% you see it. A tennis player, you just see that look, and it inspires me. I just love to see that. What is that? What is that look, that need and that desire, that love to excel? And so when we do that, we kind of reach to the pinnacle of our ability. You know that that game, that particular game, meant thousands and thousands of hours of rehearsal, of practice, of doing the drills, yes? And that's so true. That is the spiritual life, isn't it? Let's look at the similarities between a healthy competition on earth, like the Super Bowl, let's assume that it's healthy, and the spiritual faith journey. What do we have in common with the excelling athlete in our spiritual faith journey? The first thing is practice, 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 doing the drills. So you know that the athletes that we love to watch have done their drills. They've done them so often and so well with such dedication that now we're seeing them shine. What does that mean for us at the spiritual level?
Commitment.
Wow. Yeah, Mary Crenshaw used to say that. Commitment. Commitment to what?
Excellent.
Well, excellence in what?
Whatever you're committed to.
Succeeding?
Well, and in this case, what?
Succeeding?
Yeah, and in what? The real important question is, on the faith journey, what are we succeeding? What are we excellent at?
Practicing faith. I mean, that,
Yes.
the Course in Miracles has a lesson for every day of the year.
Yes.
And Jesus keeps saying, practice. You don't have to believe it, you don't have to just do the practice.
Yes.
And you can change your mind.
Miracles happen. So the fundamentals of our Christian faith are what? What did we learn in Sunday school, those of us who went?
10 Commandments.
10 Commandments,
Say your prayers.
love your neighbor, the
Say
golden
your
rule.
prayers.
Golden rule.
So if all we do, and I'm not advocating a minimalist approach, I'm saying that if all we do is live those basic Christian values, the Lord transforms us. That we are transforming before one another's eyes. Yes.
Beatitudes.
Ooh,
Well, your attitude, change your attitudes.
beautiful.
What
Yeah,
would
I'll
you
be
say?
doing a Beatitudes sermon during Lent. Yeah, I love the Beatitudes. Yeah. So we practice the fundamentals of the truths that we have learned, the truths that make sense to us, that move us, that have really shaped our lives, that have brought results. We practice them. Literally, we know that the human brain changes every time we do something new. Does that not say? New formations are taking place in the brain every time we take one step and do something different. And how, as animals, as we are human animals and children of God, that brain needs to keep, our brain needs to keep repeating the same thing over and over again so many times in order for the human physical brain to change. But guess what? At the spiritual level, we need to do that too. We need to learn and we need to practice. We can't just take for granted that we say we've learned them and we know it and we're hoping it sort of in a vague sense to go to heaven. What's so important, if we're talking about a Super Bowl mindset, if we're talking about an Olympic level angel, we're talking about learning things perpetually, continuing to learn, and then practicing those values and those truths that matter to us. We must do it like we must build our muscles, spiritual muscles. It's so important. And we cannot be vague and we cannot be lazy. We could, but will we get to the Super Bowl of heaven? Will we get to the Olympics? And maybe our goal isn't to be excellent and to be as close to the Lord as we could. But even to get halfway there, even to get to the point where we have perpetual peace, we must practice what we know to be as close as possible to what are divine truths that guide our life. It's so important to do that. If we don't practice in our choices, in what we say, in what we don't do, in how we say things, in what we do with others, and how we give, and how we speak the word, if we don't do those things, what happens is lack of communication, poor communication, lack of harmony, lack of order, lack of success, and then the final, what are you, sister resistance? The final loss is lack of hope. If you ever feel like something in your life is hopeless, do not look out there for blame. Because hope is the end result of a life well lived. That doesn't mean a life well lived is that you get everything you want. It means that you've done conscientiously with an attitude that is positive and chosen and intentional. It means that you're living the best you know how. This is core Emanuel Swedenborg's theology. You live the best you know how to live. The Lord will meet you there and carry you on a current. Now there's an image for you I want you to take with you this week. You do the best you can, and the Lord will meet you there and carry you beyond what you think you can do. It's a beautiful image of life as a fluid river, the river of life in the book of Revelations. It's so important that you do your very best, not even necessarily your Olympic best. Although I challenge you, as Aristotle did, to do your excellence in all things. If you are excellent in all things, I promise you, you will find peace. You won't always get what you want, but you will find peace. So, practice, practice, practice. Practice your faith. Do your drills. Live the commandments. Live the golden rule. Live the ethics. Live by the values that you hold highest. And do it with excellence. And you will have a life of light and peace and usefulness. And you will die a happy person. That doesn't mean you'll have everything you want. I keep saying that over and over again. So practice, practice, practice. The second thing that a Super Bowl mentality on the spiritual level involves is self-discipline. So what does a Super Bowl athlete or an Olympian do in self-discipline? What kinds of things how do they live before they get to the final game? What kinds of things do you know athletes do? Self-discipline.
Eat right, take care of themselves.
Visualize.
Yeah, visualize.
Sleep, rest.
Sleep, rest, yeah.
What else? Yes, those are all on the list.
Exercise.
Diet.
Diet, nutritious diet, eat well. What else?
Healthy self-talk.
Stay focused.
Stay focused, and that's exactly right. That's on the list. There's also another one, self-discipline. They spend a lot of time in their field of choice, no matter what sport it is. They spend a lot of time involved in that arena, in whether it's practice or whether it's spending time with the team. If you want a Super Bowl or an Olympic spiritual life, you don't just practice and go home.
You live it.
You live it, you hang around, you encourage others.
Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans, great reference.
Yeah.
And what is such the discipline there is that each of these athletes, and this is you too, each of these athletes have a family that's waiting for them at home, don't they? And that's just as important, if not more important. But when you're there, you're 100% there, right? And you stay afterwards and you think about the team. You don't just think of yourself and then leave. So there's a sense of self-discipline. When you're working, no matter what you're doing, if I'm working at the hospital, or I'm in the evenings and weekends when I'm working for the church, when I'm doing that, I am 100% there. I sometimes fight it, but once I sit down at my desk, or once I make a call, or once I go on a pastoral visit, or once I'm with a patient, no matter how tired I am, my prayer is, Lord, make me really present right there. That is a sacrifice to all the things I want to do. I want to go home and eat Joe's dinner. I want to go home and lay in Mom and Dad's Barcalounger. I want to go to the ice cream store. Right, Matthew? I want to go to Jimmy's. But all these things are calling to me. But as an Olympian spiritual warrior, I'm going to stay with my self-discipline and say, stay here till you're totally done and do your job. When it's time to go do what you want to do, that will be ever the more sweeter.
Yes.
So self-discipline in all these things. There's another aspect, another level of the game, if you will, if you want to refer to life as really the playing field. And that is to have an expanded, you ready for this? This is the more complicated point. Are you awake?
Oh, yes. Right here.
An expanded understanding and expanding, developing sense of what competition means. What do I mean by that? Competition on the natural plane means that here I am, and I'm ready to go against my opponent who's out there. On the spiritual level, where's the opponent?
In me.
Here, inside.
Every Olympian knows that. Every Super Bowl team captain knows that the enemy and the opposing team is not out there. The opposing team, and not even the enemy, if you're really advanced, the competition all takes place right here before we get out on the court or the field. That is an expanding and developing sense of competition. It also means that it's never individualistic. It means that the game is never won. Even the individual tennis player knows that the game is never won by one person. The game, the competition, is really about team. Even if you're the only athlete on the court, your coach is with you,
Your trainer.
your mentors,
Yeah.
the people that are participating with you, and the energy and the intention and the love of what's happening, the passion, is all in the whole. It is not about I. It's not about me. In my first vision quest, I remember I sat down in this 8-foot circle for 4 days and nights without food and only water. And do you know the first thing that God said to me when I was sitting there hungry going, yikes, what did I do? You know what he said? This is not about you. Yet I'm the one physically suffering. It's not about me at all. And your life and your success is not about you. And that's what every team captain knows. That's an expanding and developing sense of what competition means. What does that mean? Part of the discipline of a spiritual life is witnessing to the goodness of God, especially when you're in the presence of someone who doesn't know that goodness yet, and you might even be ridiculed. Or you might even be misunderstood. Or you might think, I don't have time to do this. I'm going to share with you something extraordinary today that happened this week. I was paged at the start of the week to the neonatal intensive care unit, and there was a 2-month-old baby boy. I'll call him Jay for privacy reasons. And I was paged to this 2-month-old baby Jay who was dying. and his mother couldn't be there. She was working, and there was no father. And the mother and the grandmother was not there, and they asked if a chaplain could come and pray for baby Jay as he leaves this world. So I was paged, I went, and I stood by, I just kind of pressed my body against his incubator, and I started to sing to him, and he wasn't moving at that time. As soon as I started to sing and pray, he starts to move his little body and twitch toward me. And then he would stop when I stopped, and then when I started to sing again, he would move his little body and twitch toward me. And so I stayed there for like 15 minutes, and I just sang to him, I talked to him, and I said, you know, the Lord is with you, and we all love you, and we are so with you, you're not alone, we love you, the Lord is with you, the angels are carrying you home, and your mama, we're going to take care of your mama too, your grandma. And I just talked to him like I would talk to anyone. So I'm thinking I'm doing this alone to little baby Jay, and he turns to me every time. And then I leave, and the nurse said, thank you so much, because she was just out there. And then I walked a little farther away from baby Jay. And the janitor, the environmental worker, was a woman, an older African-American woman. And she's sweeping, and she goes, And I said, oh? And she says, I heard that in there.
No.
And she goes, I'm a very close friend to his mother. And I'm going to tell her what you did. And I went, praise God. So as if that wasn't heavenly enough, and I'm witnessing to the goodness of God, because what happens next is way beyond anything I could have thought to do. You ready for this? Mm-hmm. So I get up to my regular unit, because when I get paged, I go off my unit, and then I come back onto my unit, the cancer patients. So I get back onto the cancer unit, and I'm going to the next patient that I'm going to visit. And all of a sudden, God puts it on my heart to tell every patient I visit to ask them to pray for baby Jay. And that does two things. It does two things. One is that we all, by virtue of the fact of how we're created, we need to be useful. We need to have a purpose. No matter how sick or healthy we are happiest when we're helping, when we're useful, when we're doing something in the name of God that is loving and kind. And when we're not doing something and we're not participating in life, we flounder. We go down. And we know that, not just spiritually, but we know it scientifically. If somebody has a purpose, they tend to live longer. So I'm thinking, okay, and God is just saying, ask people to pray for baby Jay. So everybody who was sick, and some of the people who didn't have a purpose, everybody starts praying in their own rooms because they said they would love to. Every time a sick cancer patient is given the task of praying for a sick baby, they take it like it's gold. I tell you, there isn't one person that doesn't take that opportunity. So they take that and they're praying, and that emboldens their spirit, and it helps their physical healing and their spiritual and emotional healing. But guess what else was given to me? This is what I'm talking about. So I'm leaving the unit for the day to go chart. And all of a sudden, God gives me a visual of all these prayers going directly to the baby. So all of a sudden, I'm seeing like beams of light, like when we have a gray day, and then the clouds clear, and you see coming through the clouds those direct rays. I'm telling you, that's what I saw. And all of them, like in a funnel, from every room on that unit, were going straight to that baby's bed and into that baby. Now, I wish I was an artist. My grandma Doris was a beautiful painter. And I wish that I could paint what God gave me to see. But I'm telling you, because I'm role modeling to you, part of what it takes to be spiritually excellent. Part of spiritual excellence is reporting back what you see and feel. Part of you developing your faith is to tell others the things that you witness. Because then what happens? It expands.
It's a ripple effect.
That's it. And that's what happens in the Super Bowl. The team that will win is the team that works as a team. It's not the one. It's never. And maybe those who excel on all levels are the ones who understand that we must work together to be healthy spiritually. That's why church is important. That's why being here is so important. We need to witness to each other these miraculous things that happen. The final point is that we must make our peace with the sacrifices that rising up require. We must make our peace with the sacrifices that rising up requires of us. So what does that mean? As an athlete, that means there's a lot you sacrifice so that you excel for yourself and for your team and for your mentors, your coaches, for the community of witnesses. So who gets inspired by these excellent athletes? We all do. Isn't that a beautiful thing? We must make peace with the sacrifices that we are called to make to rise. And at the spiritual level, that means what? Uh-oh. It was in the pastoral prayer today. That means that we must give up our agenda for what?
For God's agenda,
For the greater good.
the greater good.
And that word is surrender. It's a touchy word because if you've been hurt or traumatized, surrender means weakness. But at the holism level, surrender means complete unity. It means oneness and access to the resources of heaven. So the title of this message today is a tricky one. Striving for the crown. And what image did I print on the bulletin?
Crown.
But I'm actually thinking of the crown of thorns. I'm thinking of the crucifixion and the ascension. And I'm thinking how powerful that crown of thorns communicates the ultimate goal. So paradoxically, in this world, in the natural realm, the goal is to overcome and to achieve and to rise above others. But paradoxically, the spiritual victory is the opposite. It's to give over. And in surrendering to our loving Lord, we gain everything. And in doing that, then, all kinds of help and mystery start to unfold in the path. So, and I'm speaking on any level of any religious preference. Christianity is my path. It is what has touched my life and changed my whole life. And I'm also speaking to other traditions as well. Surrendering the ego, the I, the one, and opening to what love is at that domain level, opens and transforms us. And it is then that we have true peace. I see two comments, yes.
Yeah, add this, and I know this is off the wall, but let's say someone fumbles or it's an interception, and someone like Tom Brady's a great quarterback because he lets it go and then he comes back. And
Yeah.
That's his ability, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think that forgiveness, I'm going to just throw in forgiveness here. Why, not the 7 times 7, but why was that question asked? Why did he ask
How
about
many
the
times do you
How many
forgive?
times? Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, because for us as a country now, we're facing a lot of pressures that seem to be converging now. And I think we should be praying, as you said, for the president. That's what I'm missing
Yes.
for here. Because he wants to win, he's under tremendous pressure. He's like a quarterback, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And we should be praying for that. That's something
Yes,
I think,
beautiful.
that's giving up our ego, would be not to try to win that we're right and Trump is wrong, whatever.
Beautiful.
But that we're praying for him because he's under heavy, heavy pressure.
Beautiful.
That
And
would
the-
be for our
And
society.
at the spiritual level, the only way to win is to surrender.
Yeah.
Let us not be confused. We try to win God's agenda. We try to tell God our agenda, and we try to win over God. That's the real struggle we have in life. If you were to say there's one struggle in all of our life, from birth to death, it's an arm wrestle with God. My agenda, your agenda. I would like to win you over, God. These are the things I supplicate to you. But au contraire, the only way to win is to let go and let God move in. Because that's where that which is infinite and eternal, multidimensional, supernatural, that's when those energies and forces begin to touch our physical existence. And only then can that happen. We have to let go. Otherwise, we're controlling the ship. Yeah.
Yeah, with all those blessings and energy funneling into baby J, is the status of his health changed? Do you know?
He waxed. He started to do well for a little bit, and he's still alive. But he was so premature that it is merciful that he go. Yeah. But he's still with us. And we have a spiritual care consult out that has been every day this week. In other words, the request is for daily chaplain visits. So we're doing that. We're holding him. We're holding we don't see the family. She's working, and the grandmother doesn't drive unless she can go with the daughter, the mother.
With all those other people that were touched by that experience.
Exactly.
And raised their consciousness.
Did.
And that's the
It
usefulness of that incarnation.
Say it again?
And I think that's the usefulness of that
Yeah,
incarnation.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
right.
If he did come here to die within a
Purpose.
couple of months, he's
For
performing a
purpose.
tremendous use to all of us
Oh, yeah.
That's a good point.
and the people in the hospital.
Oh, yeah, and I have been so touched too, just
Mhm.
as my own small self, just to see how he responded to the talking and the praying and the singing.
Mhm.
And then also the environmental worker who was touched, and then all those patients, and it has just reinforced
Yeah.
how God needs and wants to use us.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
there is just a sense that we are all in this together. To the extent that we want our own way, God can't move.
Can I ask what songs you sang to the baby?
Oh, sure. God's love is deep within me. And then also, Jesus loves me. You know, that one got me.
Yeah.
That one got me, and I was bawling, and I was messing up the incubator on that one. You know, and just all kinds of basic Sunday school hymns.
Mhm.
I tell you, Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. Red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in His sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world. Just, it was very sweet.
Oh, my.
Wow. Wow.
Praise God.
Stop, it's too much.
Praise God.
Yay! That was maybe the best ever.